Hello everyone, welcome to the Opossum Fixates. Probably a one-off, but this is a picture of my kitchen, or like of the tablecloth in the room, or on the table in which I eat breakfast. So every time I have dinner or lunch or breakfast at this table, I look at the pattern on it, and I thought I would make a video describing the pattern on it because I think it's a pretty darn interesting pattern, and there's a lot of different things that you notice about this pattern if you look at it for long enough. But the first thing that I notice is that this pattern is made up of a few fundamental elements, which are these lines, these shapes, or I'll just, trace them. These lines, these shapes, and I guess this one counts too because it's repeated. These shapes, and these squares, and that's really it, I think, because this shape is just only rotated, and this shape appears quite a bit, and this shape, is just rotated to make this shape, and these squares show up quite a bit, but I look at it diagonally, I sit here on the table, and so I look this way, and so to me, sometimes what looks like is happening is that, what color? Yeah, this color. These lines look like they join each other. Like this just goes like this, but that doesn't happen. It only happens for these squares. This only happens, or it only looks like it happens when these squares are in the middle of these lines. It doesn't happen here. So it happens on this row, but it doesn't happen on this row. So this one, no. This one, yes, because oh wait, no, this one, yes, and coincidentally, actually, on this row, these shapes are rotated 45 degrees to make this shape, which I thought was interesting. So, whenever the line actually goes diagonally, or you're able to get from this area to this area, just by traveling through the line, you have to hit a square, and therefore on this row, that's what makes it unique. I'm sorry, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just thought it would be an interesting video to make. But there's also, so if you zoom in, actually, what's happening is that these squares, oh, this is a bad area. Yes, okay. These squares are not actually, hold on, I'll circle them. Yes, these squares are not even actually obscuring the action that's happening. The lines actually do touch if you take the square away, which was pretty cool, and you can tell that out. You can prove this by looking here and looking there. This one has a square, and this area does not. And there's this little visible corner here. I'm not sure if you're able to see it, but there's a visible corner here, and it looks like the line actually goes higher to meet the square than just to here, where it just doesn't touch the other line. And because it only happens every other row and not every single row, where's the pan tool? Yes, it means that these lines, like this line and this line, because they're kind of the same line, they're the same line, but they will never touch this line because they're separate rows, so these two are independent of each other, which I thought was interesting. And this is also true for every single other row, every pair of rows. I guess I should define rows, by the way. I might as well get around to that. So, this is a row, this is a row, this is a row, that's a row, that's a row. I'm just looking at every row that includes any two of these shapes that we defined before, this shape or this shape. If it has squares, it's not really a row because it just has squares and no major shapes. But these are all. I think you get the gist of that. But that was intriguing to me because it meant that there were only separate groups of lines, and even though it looks like the lines, actually do intersect, but these will never intersect. This will never touch that. If you only look at the lines, and the squares, I don't think have anything to do with it. If you look vertically, what's interesting is that I should have color coded these. What's interesting is that here the squares are vertical. Or like here, yeah, they align vertically, and here they don't, which is weird, because you'd think that they would, because it's a pattern, but they don't. So yeah, this has squares, this has squares, this has squares, but this doesn't have squares, which is weird. Or I should, yeah, they're just the vertical columns, which means that, and there's also a square there, which is strange. But it just means that it just alternates. It's from yes to no. On the squares. This is like something I've been thinking about feverishly for like a very long time, and I don't know. But this is the pattern for the squares. There's also, oh yeah, there's also these, which don't really, they're not very special. Like these things, that is. I'll make this yes, orange. These, they're not really, I don't know, I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about them because, well, they only tessellate this way and that way. Like they're just a grid. It's not super terribly interesting. But what's cool to me, not about these shapes, but about the little like 4-leaf clover ones, is that, okay, well, what's cool to me is that if you start here and try and travel in any direction that has another one of these shapes, it will always be rotated 45 degrees. Like, if you go this way, it's rotated 45 degrees, because previously this looked like this, and now it's rotated to this. If you go here and go this way, it's also rotated 45 degrees, because it went from here to here. And no matter where you go, or, I mean, like, you could go from, like, here to here, and it would be fine, but I don't know. As long as you start in locations that are surrounded by okay, so in the 9x9 grid, if this, if you're here and you're surrounded on all 4 sides by these shapes, there's no way you can go that doesn't rotate 45 degrees if you are one of these shapes. And however, this doesn't work for like the squares or for the lines, because they're just, the squares and lines are kind of an independent pattern. I should keep that actually. But yes, you can actually, I think, divide the entire tessellation of all of these shapes into a grid like that, except for, of course, the squares. There's also these lines, like the ones that join the shapes, or join the kind of 4-leaf clover shapes. I'll just call them, the 4-leaf clover shapes. But it's like, it's just a diamond, but surrounded by four circles. But those lines don't have anything special. Like they just make a larger grid. If you look at like the smaller grid, for instance, this is one big square as defined by the line. Like there's, this line continues as in this line and this line, and I should make this color, but if you trace this line in just a 1x1 square, you are given a 9x9 grid. However, the center is not the 4-leaf clover shape, it's just this other shape, which is, I guess, oh wait, no, that's not even the right grid. Oh, I'm dumb. Well, shoot, it's just one of these shapes. I guess that's cool. I hadn't considered that. I don't know, this is about as far as I got, actually. There's probably more to be found. Like, if you, I don't know, dude, if you like take these squares and like go diagonally, like you have to cross through a one of these shapes and one of these shapes to arrive at another square. You always have to do that if you're traveling diagonally. Oh, well, I mean, unless you go here to here, but this is like an impure square and it only connects the lines. There's a lot of other stuff to be found. Like, these, you must travel. Yeah, that's a cool conjecture. You must travel through this and this to reach another square if you're only going diagonally. However, if you're just going horizontally, you never touch a shape like that. That's cool. I mean, you touch this part of the shape if you're going from here to here, but I don't know. That's really all I have to say. I think it's a pretty cool tablecloth pattern, and I'm gonna look at it some more and then come up with some more things about it. But that's really it. Hopefully I wasn't too boring, or hopefully I wasn't too, like, Hopefully I didn't sound too fucking insane, but yeah, that's about it.